Good morning from my shop in Valencia. So today's topic, this has come up a few times recently, so I thought I'd talk about it, is your inexpensive Chinese-made guitar. The good news, first of all, is that the kind of inexpensive guitars you can buy today are infinitely, by a factor of 10, better than the first couple of junky guitars I owned when I was a kid, which were really unplayable. I don't know how I learned how to play. Sometimes, when I say Chinese guitars, sometimes they are branded. There is a brand. Sometimes they're unbranded. They're just copies of well-known Fenders or Gibsons or even acoustic Martins. They usually seem to fall around that $100, 5,000 peso price point. So for $100, what do you get? You get a pretty good guitar. The woods are solid. They're real. The finish is not great, but it's adequate. I mean, it's not cosmetically perfect, but it's not bad. At first glance, I'm always impressed. I go, wow, for $100, this is a nice guitar. They often sound pretty nice. You're not going to really confuse it with a Martin, but they sound pretty good. The electronics work. So for what it is, you end up with a workable, functioning, nice-looking instrument for, again, the equivalent of about $100. Usually that $100, by the way, will include shipping, which is amazing to the Philippines. But sometimes people so let's talk about what you should and should not do with your $100 Chinese-made guitar. Because sometimes people get delusions of grandeur, and they think, I'll replace everything. I'll buy good quality tuners. I'll buy new pickups. I'll buy, new potentiometers, saddles, output jack, etc., etc., etc. And the next thing you know, the person spent $300 or $400 on accessories, and their $100 Chinese guitar is, well, it's not $100 anymore. So this is strictly, of course, my opinion. You can do what you want with your guitar. You can certainly do what you want with your money. But what would I do? There's 2 or 3 things that you'll want or need to do. You should bring your $100 Chinese-made guitar to somebody like me, because chances are it's not set up very well. The action is probably not as low as it can go. The truss rod may or may not need to be adjusted. The nut is probably not filed very well, etc. The other thing that you will find on some, not all, is that the frets are very sharp. So they're not smooth, they have sharp edges, they may not be perfectly level. So a fret dressing or even a quick leveling may be necessary. Those are the kinds of things to make it play well in your hands that are worth doing. From there, you have to decide, is it worth it to buy a $100 set of new tuners because the tuners that are on it, aren't as smooth and nice as you're used to? Maybe. But here's what happens. You get the set of tuners, and you find that the screw holes do not match what you have now. So now you have a real job. You got to fill the holes that exist, re-drill new holes, and in the end, you have better tuners, and you spent at least as much money, probably, as you spent for the whole guitar. Same thing is true with pickups. You have delusions of grandeur. I'm going to buy a $100 set of Fender pickups or Gibson pickups or whatever your favorites are. You then find that they don't fit in the control cavity, or in the pickup cavities. Then you have to do some routing work. It's a lot of work. In the end, do you end up with a real Fender? No. You may have improved the guitar, maybe, but at that point you might have been better off buying a higher quality guitar or buying a used guitar here that you can find an actual Fender here and pay $400 or $500. So what is good? Once we get your guitar set up, it will play well. It will play just as well as an expensive guitar. If it's an acoustic guitar, it will sound pretty darn good. Some of these inexpensive Chinese guitars have a nice full sound. They are not bad at all. The electronics are not as good, but they certainly work. They make a decent sound. They are subject and prone to rust and corrosion, but then so are good quality electronics in the Philippines because we have a humid environment. So those are a few of my thoughts about this. I suppose in general, you're better off loving your $100 guitar for what it is and not fantasizing about what it isn't. If you're smart, you do the basics, get it well set up, get the frets dressed or polished so that they're easy to play. If it's an acoustic guitar, you might consider a bone nut and saddle replacement, which isn't very expensive. But the notion that you're going to take your $100 guitar and make it comparable to a $1,000 guitar, you're probably not going to do that. Enjoy it for what it is, because they're really not bad at all. So anyway, I thought I'd talk about this topic today. I hope you learned something from this. Thanks.